Hey, what is up? Welcome to this very special episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofrumento, and I am joined today by an incredible entrepreneur, someone who you're going to love hearing from him because he's not only coming on here to share his story and share about what he does, but he is actually giving you the chance to get your hands on something absolutely freaking crazy, which is why I'm rushing this interview with Dan Morris as today's Strategy Wednesday episode. Dan Morris is an incredible entrepreneur. Him and his wife, they seem to have their hands on everything that's cool and that brings results online in the world of digital marketing and entrepreneurship. Dan and his wife show people how to turn their hobbies into real businesses. If you're a podcaster, if you're a vlogger, if you're a blogger, Dan is the man when it comes to helping you turn any and all of that into a full-time business. And I'm so excited for him to reveal what he's been up to because Dan is uniquely talented when it comes to getting the best of the best online together to do something very special for you, the wantrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of the world. So without further ado, I'm not going to say anything else. We're going to dive straight into my interview with Dan Morris. All right, Dan, you just heard your intro. How the heck are you doing today, man?
Dude, you know what's crazy about this show already? Like, we're only like 3 seconds in. But already, so we're getting ready to start a podcast for my wife. And you started yours, and I was like, well, that's a cool background. So I actually took my camera out. I took a picture of the computer screen so I could send it to her while she's downstairs. I'm like, hey, when you're considering backgrounds, look what Brian did. And then you have all this, you have a level of energy that has some sort of sincerity mixed in, which is interesting to me. Like, I'm not sure I could ever capture whatever that is that you have. It's very nice.
Dan, I appreciate that on so many levels. I'm just constantly excited. And the older I get, I'm waiting for this excitement and energy level to wane. And then I look around and now I'm in my 30s and I'm like, is this abnormal or am I just like always high on life? So I appreciate it. And yes, I am always and easily excited.
Yeah. So I was making videos yesterday for this project that we're about to talk about. And every time I finished, I watched it and I was like, how do I get the energy level that Brian has? Brian doesn't look that. You know how people start a show and they're like, we're so excited to have you. Like everybody says that. But you actually seem genuinely sincere when you say it. Like that skill I would pay for.
Yeah, no, I dig it. For real, I view that as high compliment. People always ask me, they're like, who else has that? And I always throw my hands up in the air. Jimmy Fallon. It's the only dude I've seen who shares my level of excitement for having guests on, I think.
What about Ricky Shetty?
Rick, who the heck is that, Dan?
What? Wait, did you not live in Vancouver at some point?
No, my West Coast adventures only took me to Los Angeles.
Oh, that's why. Ricky is this guy in Vancouver who's now not in Vancouver because his family decided to, using his entrepreneurial skills, decided to travel the world. So now they're in the Philippines. But like you, he had this unbelievable way. Like he could go to a restaurant, and every restaurant that he would go to, he would interview the manager and like promote the restaurant while he was there. But in this way that makes you think like, wow, that is such a good thing to do. But I could never do that on my own. Like bring the manager over and just promo the restaurant. But somehow, I don't know. That is a skill.
Guess who's coming on the show this month, Dan?
Yes.
Literally, guys. So I'm chronically work from coffee shops. I love coffee shop life. And the other day I was just chatting up the guy behind the counter at the coffee shop. And he was just like, by the way, I'm the owner. And so I was like, dude, you got to come on my show then. So later this month, I'm having the owner of a coffee shop.
Nice. That is excellent.
Yeah. So Dan, I want to pose this question to you. I've known you for years now, and I respect you for so many different reasons. Fill in the gaps before we talk about the project that you've been working on so hard this year. Fill in the gaps. Tell listeners what the heck you do.
Well, that is a good question because I'm 47 now, 47 years old. And I still wonder, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? But what I have figured out, what I've accomplished at this point is I'm very close to being able to work 4 months a year. I'm so close. Like maybe this is going to be the year. And I didn't even know that I was working towards that. In fact, I had a conversation yesterday with a lady who had heard me talk about that concept, working 4 months a year on a podcast. And she said she's never even considered that. And I had never really considered that either before 2019. And the reason that I hadn't really thought about it before was because I hadn't figured out how to make income online that was repeatable and reliable. That's the word I'm looking for, reliable. Because I think that most of the people who work online, it's not reliable. Like they can't count on it from day to day. And then they can't think about, like if they're working a regular job, quitting it, because they can see money, but they can't see that it's going to be here 4 months from now or 5 months from now. So I have been doing little things. My wife, Rachel, who you mentioned, she runs findingjoy.net. And it's a big motherhood site. I think we've got 700,000 fans on Facebook. We've got, deals with Penguin Random House, and she's been on the Today Show. And right now we're pitching another book at the moment because we're trying to leverage, that experience. But we're also, we run Audience Industries. And for a few years before COVID, I think we did 100 8-hour workshops around the world. And what we were doing was teaching how to take your hobby of internet marketing and turn it into a career. That was the concept of what we called blogging concentrated at the time. We did workshops all over the United States, Canada, New Zealand. And in fact, it was a workshop in New Zealand where I had mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk, and a few people in the room didn't know who that was. And on the way home, we realized maybe Facebook is not the great equalizer after all, or the internet. So that's how we came up with the project that we're doing now, which is we're in the 7th year. We thought, what if we came up with a project where we could introduce the experts that we met abroad with our audience, and then our experts with their audience. That was our idea. We could bring all these experts into one thing, which now is commonplace as a summit. But we decided we wanted to do it product-based. So what if we took a product from each expert and we put it together into like a bundle or a kit, which we call a stack, and then we sell it all, right? All as one. So then the audience gets to introduce the works of all these different experts, and then the experts get to grow a new audience. That was kind of the concept. So it seems to me that everything that we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years has been to that end. How do we meet more people? How do we introduce our people to more people and vice versa? And how do we turn that into revenue?
Yeah, I love that for so many reasons. And really at the root of that is I've learned in my own entrepreneurial journey, I've been doing this since I was 19 years old, that more connections only bring positive things for us as entrepreneurs. And that's why when you reach out to me, this is not my first year participating in the BC Stack, which I'm going to push you to give us a really good overview on what the BC Stack is. This is not my first year doing it. And the reason is because you have this crazy knack for getting the best of the best involved in this project that you and your wife put together. And it really helps thousands of people all over the world. So I am going to pose you that big question of, Dan, tell us, what is the BC Stack? So in a nutshell, I kind of gave you a little intro of it. It's actually a win-win-win project. Now for the buyer, for the general user, for anybody who's thinking about starting a business and they want to use online tools, they want to use digital marketing, anybody who's doing digital marketing now, this is a product that would be of interest to you, because we take 65 experts in the digital marketing world, people who know Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, how to get your podcast on Alexa, like those kinds of things. It's everything. There are people who sell custom, like in this year, there's several different products that are like, there's an entire section of like workbooks and notebooks, and it's templates. So you could create a merch store. Like if you had a brand, like a YouTuber
or my wife runs findingjoy.net. She's a motherhood blogger, so she could create cool workbooks or notebooks or journals from these templates and then sell them on her site. So there's all kinds of digital marketing products that are inside of the stack. So the first win is the customer. So a customer who comes to BC Stack next week when it's open, we only do it once a year. They come and if they buy it, they get 65 digital marketing products. And a lot of them are courses. There are $300 courses, $900 courses. This year, there's a product that's retailed for $2,000. I mean, it's pretty crazy what's in it. So the buyer gets an unbelievable number of things. Now you got to think, like, who needs that many things, right? Well, I think that the same way. But then I'll go to a restaurant and I'll get the salad bar. And like, who needs all these things, right? I never put beets on my salad. That's ridiculous. Whoever puts beets on their salad, those are the people that should be jailed because beets are not good, right? But I bought them, right? I paid for them. So that's what we think of with the stack, because it's 65 products, and really it's a few more than that. But what you got to do is you find the thing in there that you really need, that will make your business better. And that becomes, totally worth it. If you can get a $2,000 course for $47, I mean, heck, that's a big win for you. Okay, so that's the first win, the consumer. And then the second win, and this is kind of the lifeblood, is every year we have about 80% new experts from around the world in the stack. So people, if you are far away from me, like if we don't have any common friends on Facebook, you're the perfect person for the stack because we need new audiences. So every year I go to Amazon, I find the top authors, I go to LinkedIn, I find the top people on LinkedIn in digital marketing. I go all the usual places to find who are the top people in our industry. And then I reach out and say, hey, this is what we do. If you will let us have your best product for 1 week of the year, then we'll send you a new audience, because everybody needs a new, lifeblood in their business. And we sell about 10,000 units. So for anybody in the stack, any contributor, any expert, this is a chance to grow their audience by a bunch. And it's hopefully people they've never been in front of before. Like this year we have contributors from the Philippines, from Estonia, from the UK, from Australia, from New Zealand, United States, Brazil. They're from all over the place. So the person in Estonia who's been building an online audience, for the last 5 years, when they put a product in and then they're promoting to an audience they built that you may never be able to reach. That's the fantastic part about the audience growth. So that's the second win. The contributor gets this brand new audience that they haven't ever had before. And then the third win, and this is where the entrepreneurial part comes in. The third win is that BC Stack is run by affiliates. So while we have a big audience because we've been doing it a long time, we probably don't leverage our audience the way that we should be. We leverage affiliates. So we have, 300 to 500 active affiliates every year. And the affiliates go and market the product to their audiences. And then not only do they make 50% of the price, but then we have about $25,000 in cash bonuses, like to help encourage them to promote even more. Because when they promote to all of the audiences they've built up over the last few years, and they all come to Stack, that's what feeds the contributors in the audience, right? So the price of the product, which is $47, gets divided in half immediately, and then half goes to the affiliate, and then like $25,000 goes just to bonuses, and then we pay for ads and stuff like that. But it really is, win-win-win. The customer wins because they get 65 products. The contributors win because they get a brand new audience, and the affiliates win because they get to make money for their families by, whatever it is that they need to do. It's a pretty cool project in my opinion.
Yeah, Dan, 100%. And that I like you, which is why I'm going to call you out for two truths and a lie right here, right now, to a worldwide audience of wantrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. So the first truth that you told is, for those of you who are listening to this, by the time this is pumping through your earphones or your car speakers, this is the week of the BC Stack. And we're going to tell you how the heck you can get your hands on it and exactly what's inside in just 1 second. But if you're impatient or you're on the go, just go to imetbrian.com/BC, as in Boston College, or as in blogging concentrated. So imetbrian.com/BC. This is the week. It ends on June 19th. So look at your calendar, look at the date that you're listening to this episode. This is the week of the BC stack. So that's the first truth. The first lie that Dan just told you. Dan, beets are awesome on salad, man.
No, dude, they're not. They should be illegal. They should be removed from the earth.
I'm all about beets, all about beets. So you guys don't listen to that. I would be remiss to not point out that Dan is leading you in a bad direction there. But seriously, the second truth that Dan really exposed to you there is $47. Literally, when Dan talks about the best of the best, I will tell you, I'll spill my part of the beans here, is that 1 year of membership to the Launch Coalition, which every single one of you knows what the Launch Coalition is. 1 year of that, which we normally charge $197 a year for members to sign up for, that is included in this year's BC stack. So for $47, you're getting a year of access to the Launch Coalition, which that in and of itself should be a no-brainer. It's already paying for itself. But Dan, make it a total no-brainer for them. What else is inside the BC stack? Tease us some real life examples of what's in there.
So that is a good question. I think the thing that, what's interesting when you're putting these together, and instead of speaking from a promotional standpoint, since we're on an entrepreneur show, I'm going to tell you from the entrepreneur side of me. When we go out, my goal is to find people who are really doing great things in their business and they have like a focus. Like my parents run frontporchideas.com and they're 6-figure entrepreneurs, and they got to 6 figures in 3 years solidly only on Google AdSense. They make money from ads. So like if they had a course on how to do Google AdSense, those are the kinds of people that I would want, right? So this year I got a call from Dan Miller, the guy who, the New York Times bestselling author of 48 Days to the Work You Love. And he said, I'm interested in being in the stack this year. And, he's a mastermind guy. So I think to be in his mastermind is $7,500. And he put in his course about how to create a mastermind for your audience. So for me, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That's cool. Like a couple of years ago, Tony Robbins' son, Jarek, was in the stack. Which I always think is cool as well. Did I cut out there for a second, Brian?
No, you're good. We can hear you the whole time. Your video was a little laggy, but we can still hear you.
Stupid video. What year is it? Don't they understand? It's not 1995 anymore.
You already said why, though. It's because your background's not as cool as mine.
But I'm not even on Wi-Fi. I'm connected directly. So what else is in the stack? Chad Fullerton has an entire course on social media marketing and the different. No. His is creating products. I love creating products. So his is creating products, and then we have another product. Like I already told you, there's some templates like you could make workbooks, notebooks, journals, which I think is great because if you don't have a store, then you probably need a store, in my opinion. But what's even better is if you're an author and you're going to sell a book, if you could couple your book with a workbook or a journal, you could double the price of your book, right? You could make it a package. So if you could do that by just taking a template and turning it into something cool that goes with your book, and then you don't have to hire a designer and all that fancy stuff, you could easily like triple the price of the book sale that you're going to do. And you could also create bonuses. So some people with the stack, they tell their audience, if you buy BC Stack and you send me your receipt, I'll give you this bonus. And for Jennifer Maker, who always, she makes $20,000 in affiliate income from Stack every year. People wait to buy it from her because of the bonuses that she gives. And they're all related to crafts because she has a crafting entrepreneur audience. So you could use those for crafts. Now, Anna David, she's a New York Times bestselling author. She has an entire course about launching a book, which, I love the whole idea of launching a book. But I like it more. I like it a lot more when it comes to somebody who made it to the New York Times list, because there's lots of gurus and experts out there about launching a book. But I can tell you right now that you can become a bestseller on Amazon in about 8 minutes without hiring anyone. like every hour they change who's the top book for that particular category. So for me, that's not as a big deal as it is with somebody like Anna David, who I think she's got 3 books on the New York Times bestseller list. So to me, that's a huge deal in and of itself. Trying to think of some of the other cool products that are in there this year that are discussionable.
Dan, let me push you a little bit in my audience's direction, because I know so many of them are interested in online advertising, in the marketing side of the world. You've already mentioned product creation, which I love the fact that you sat down and mentioned that, because for so many newer entrepreneurs, that is the first question of what the heck do I sell? And then obviously to combine it with the marketing side of things. Tell us a little bit about some of the marketing stuff people will find inside this year's stack.
So there's a Facebook ads course. I almost feel like changing tabs so that I could read them, because, it's since the stack has been going on, it's just crazy busy for about 7 days. There's no sleep. There's no real sleep when you have a international product. Marketing wise, there is an Instagram course, a Pinterest course, a Clubhouse course. Clubhouse, that's kind of cool. How do you making money on Clubhouse? And that's pretty new, but I also write for Podcast Magazine, and we have a room called Club Pod that has 60,000 members, and there are rooms going at all times. So the idea that Clubhouse might be around for a little while was very interesting to me when that came up. But then there's a different course on pretty much all of the different social platforms. There's email marketing. I think there's 2 different ones on email marketing: Email Magic, email automation. Video marketing, video tools. I said Instagram, right? I think there's a LinkedIn course. Oh, there's actually a 1-year subscription to Infinitunes. Now, Infinitunes is a digital music service that actually creates music, like for your videos, your ads, your commercials. You load up the video, you tell what kind it is, what kind of theme you want, what tone you want, and the computer actually creates the music for you. So if you're looking for a source of music that's, that you don't have to worry about copyright law and all that stuff, Infinitunes is a great place because it's never existed before the moment that it exists on your video. But those are just some, there's 65 courses in total. So you got any other specifics in mind that would, my brain is totally...
Yeah, it's definitely a good overview. Man, you touched on so many things, and it just goes to show why it's so much work for you and Rachel as you guys are putting this together, because you are touching on all of these different topics. And as you said, you're not learning from Joe Schmo about email marketing. You are learning from people who have been there and done that. And so that's what I really want to call out, Dan, when we talk about the stack, is especially for my audience, wantrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are listening to this, is that when you hear 65 courses, remember, you're getting all of these, first things first, for $47. That is insane, Dan. It absolutely blows my mind that you have such a good network of people who willingly, myself included, we say, heck yeah, we want to be a part of this. And you lump all of these in for one price of $47. It is literally a no-brainer. So I want to call that out. But the second and maybe most important thing that I want to call out is when you get your hands on these things, you refer to them as you need them. It's not about consuming and devouring 65 different courses. It's about figuring things out as you need them. If you're sitting there wondering, how the heck do I get eyeballs to my traffic? Or how do I get traffic to my website? How do I get more eyeballs on my offer? Well, then you can say, my audience is on LinkedIn. Let me dive into the LinkedIn course or the Instagram course. And you're learning from the best of the best. So I love that approach, Dan.
Let me tell you something about a statement that you said that I almost think sets us apart. And I would say this is an entrepreneurial tip. There's a lot of people that do summits and do like bundles, and they do them every year, and they don't really grow. In my opinion, 99% of the people who don't grow is because they rely on their network. And I think that the network, while it's good, if you're not 100% focused on expanding your network, then your network is slowly dying. And I say that because our industry, in our experience, there's about 2 years. Once you start in the industry, you do it for about 2 years. And since most people don't actually succeed, because they either don't have the right tools, or I don't exactly know what it is, but you last about 2 years. So if you have an audience that, you didn't grow this year, and some of those people, leave, like they move on, they get a regular job, they're back to the corporate world and they're not working the internet anymore. So for me, the stack every year is 80% of my time before we begin is cold calling. And I actually like cold calling. I don't know why I like cold calling. I like it, I think, because I actually bring value. Like I could find a guy who's selling a book on Amazon that I look at and I think, man, this is a lot of good stuff in it. And then I call that guy. I'm like, hey, I do this project every year where, we bring 10,000 entrepreneurs to the same spot for 1 week. Can I introduce them to your brain, and can I help you grow your audience? Now, if that guy says yes, then his network, who I have no idea who they are, I've never met, hopefully we don't have common friends, means he's bringing all kinds of new blood into BC Stack, right? Into the whole system. So I like the idea of having a good wide network, but I would encourage you to broaden that at all times. Reach out, ask, figure out, how do I add value to that person's life? And then call them and tell them, this is what I do. And I would say that I have a 95% yes rate. There are some people who I'll call and they'll say, no way, I'm not putting my product for free in there. But I sort of get that, right? But at the same time, what I'm saying is, what if you put it in free for 1 week out of the 52? That means you can sell it for the other 51 weeks. And in exchange, I will give you a list of people who believe with their wallet, they pay, for the stack. They believe, they want to learn digital marketing, and they want these tools, and I'll add them to your business so that you can sell all your other stuff. That's the idea. So I would say, as much as possible, rely on your network, but grow the network. Go to conferences, go to summits, but don't just listen. You got to meet people. You got to figure out what they do. You got to write down, this is what that person does, so that when you see a summit and you think, oh, you know what? I know a guy who does that. You can email them and say, guess what? There's a summit that's going on that's based on your expertise. I think you should go check it out, because that's the first time that I've given that person some value because I paid attention to what they do. And that means when I call them about the stack, I've already started the conversation by showing them I care, right? And then I show them what it is that I can do to make their world better.
Yeah, incredible entrepreneurial advice in all different regards right there. And for me, Dan, with my podcast host hat on and really being an advocate for my audience right here, the thing that I took away from that is, holy cow, Dan is literally doing what he preaches. You care so much about reaching out to people. You have done the legwork. And that's why, to me, the fact that you just are willing to do what most people aren't willing to do, which is those cold calls, which is getting in front of the best of the best. You've cultivated all those relationships, packed them into one stack for listeners to get their hands on literally this week. It ends June 19th. I cannot stress that enough. Once that date passes, you can no longer get this year's BC stack. It's $47. My link, you've already heard Dan talk about the mechanics of how the stack works. So if you want to get it through me, I'll also give you some goodies as well. So reach out to me. You all know my email address, hello@imetbrian.com. But my link is imetbrian.com/BC. If you go to that link before this, what is it, Saturday or Sunday, Dan?
So it opened New Zealand time on the 13th, right? I do that because I like the whole world. I tell everyone it's the 13th, but I actually opened it New Zealand time the 13th, which is 11 a.m. on Saturday the 12th. And then we close it Hawaii time on the 19th. So that's really 5 a.m. on the 20th or something like that, 4 a.m. But, otherwise, if you don't pay attention, then the people in New Zealand, they try to go to it and it's not even open yet, even though it says it's open. And then they just think you're an idiot. Or you close it And then half the people in Hawaii are like, wait, it's not midnight yet. Why is it closed? So that's why we do that. But hey, before we go further, I actually brought up on my screen the list of products.
Yes.
And it reminded me of something that I would like you to do when you get it. In the stack, there is a product called Why Smart Leaders Fail. And when I was pitched the idea, let me tell you that I was pitched the idea. Now, the first year I was not pitched ideas, but now I'm pitched products pretty regularly. So when I was pitched this idea, I'd never heard of Pamela Rucker before. And that's because Pamela Rucker is a Harvard professor. And this is not necessarily this is not her world. But she was launching a product, and she saw that we were doing the world's largest product launch. And so she reached out to see if she could be part of it. And she said, can I put in Why Smart Leaders Fail? And I thought to myself, that is not like learning Kajabi. That's not like how to build a digital empire on Etsy. It's not like the visibility effect product. See how I'm like mentioning other products that are coming from this little list that I'm reading on the side. But it is interesting to me. So then I did an interview with Miss Rucker about her product, and it made me think, I think everyone should start here, because the basis for her idea, Why Smart Leaders Fail, is that smart leaders don't look at their own tendencies, right? So one of my tendencies and one of your tendencies is to take the easiest path to the end, the path of least resistance. And when we do that, when we take the path of least resistance, we decide for ourselves, I'm going to sell a t-shirt on Teespring because I don't know how to set up a Shopify store, right? That sounds too hard. But I could totally sell t-shirts to my audience. I could just use Teespring. And then I'll make a smaller percentage, but then in our heads, then I don't have to learn Shopify, or then I don't have to go through the pain of learning Shopify. So what I'd like you to do is when you get Stack, I'd like you to start with Why Smart Leaders Fail, and try to identify the things about you that might be harmful to your business. So for instance, when I first started, I was going to have business cards made, and I did not know how to make my own domain email, like dan@audienceindustries.com. I didn't know how to do that. So I got audienceindustries@gmail.com. And it only took 1/100th of a second for me to put audienceindustries@gmail. I went and got the account. And I just did it without thinking, realizing that for 1 year, I had a less than professional business card. And I don't know if it made any difference, right? But it definitely was a tendency of mine to say, 80% is fine. I'll just have a Gmail account. It's just a business card. It doesn't really matter. So over time, I've had to identify the things that I'm totally comfortable with. I was comfortable with it. 80% is fine. But I also know that if I want to be really successful, I have to figure out who I want to become first. And then I got to figure out how to get there. And the first step in getting there is figuring out, all right, what are the things that could lead me to fail? Because they're just part of me. And there's got to be people who can do things better than me, or there's got to be things I can learn that I don't know now. Like if you have to be somehow humble to the idea that you might have issues in your own personality and your own makeup of how you're going to get this all done. Maybe it's stubbornness or whatever else it is, whatever it possibly could be. But take a look at that product, because I think she's right. There's stuff inside all of us that if we just knew it, we could overcome it. We could accept it. We could overcome it.
Yeah, I love that, Dan. And really what I hear as someone who runs my business is those sort of takeaways. Without you, really, Dan, what we're doing is we're using you as part of this year's BC Stack because you've gone out there into the world and really compiled all of these things. Me as a business owner, I'm thinking to myself, gosh, those are things that I would have never stumbled across myself. One of those takeaways alone is worth, I'm going to say at least 100 or maybe even 1,000x considering this year's price. So $47. Dan, I so appreciate you taking your time out of such a busy launch week for you. Now I'm picturing the BC Stack as like New Year's Eve fireworks, and in New Zealand they go off first and then they end in Hawaii. So I love hearing that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy launch week to come here and speak to the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur audience. I do want to remind you all that the link to go to get your hands on this year's stack, you only have until this weekend, June 19th. So make sure you head over to imetbrian.com/BC. Dan, anything you want to add? Otherwise, we're calling it a day here.
Affiliate marketing, passive profits with Pinterest, write your own story, the Launch Coalition, building a digital empire on Etsy. Very interesting to me. I said affiliate marketing, creating printables. There's a Canva course if you need that. Income goal success, blogging the less effort way. There's an actual course on Kajabi, which I think is interesting because that's one of those programs where if you know how to use it, you'll get the most out of it. And otherwise, you'll just use the shiny buttons that you know how to use, and you won't use all the stuff. So, but yeah, there's lots of stuff, lots and lots of stuff. Please head over to the link and check it out at least. At least check it out. Like reduce my overall conversion rate. Like I'm happy for you to do that. Just go check it out. Don't even buy it. Just reduce the conversion rate and look it over. But I'm going to guarantee you when you get there, you're going to be like, can I really afford to pass this up? Is there not going to be one of these things I don't need 2 months from now? I'm not going to think, man, I should go buy that for full price. Like, why?
Heck yeah. Really good summary, Dan. I'm glad you teased those product ideas to us. imetbrian.com/BC. $47. You guys heard directly from Dan himself here during launch week. So Dan, thank you so much for coming on to the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. And thank you for everything that you do to put together the BC Stack.
Dude, thank you, man, for everything that you did on this call that I think your listeners should pay attention to, from your voice, from your redirect affiliate link, from your background, from the way that you interview. Like, Brian is a good person to learn from. So if you're listening to this podcast, don't just listen. Learn from every single part of it.
Heck yeah. Thanks so much, Dan. We'll chat soon.
All right.